Welcome, everybody. Can you hear the cryings in your soul? There's more than one. It's up to you to choose who you feed tonight. The weekend market has always been a place people of all kinds frequent. Everything and anything you might want could be found in the weekend market, from fresh produce to freshly cooked meals, from toys to lawnmowers. Vendors come far and wide to sell their wares across this vast market during the weekends. Everything you could ever imagine could be found. Even life. In the deepest parts of the market, far away from the hustle and bustle of the crowds, tucked away in the shadows, stands a stall that doesn't boast of any shiny tool or mouth-watering meal. Instead, the stall is a small, measly tent with a single chair and table out front, where a mysterious lady known as the doctor lies in wait for people to find her. Don't let her secluded spot fool you. People travel far and wide, often people who have nowhere else to turn to, try and find this woman. You see, she has an unusual reputation. It was said that she can cure any disease, any malady, things that would have stumped hundreds of doctors. She would make vanish just like that. And best of all, she doesn't ask for money. This is why poor, hopeless, unfortunate souls all flock to find her, to see her if the legends are true. She went by the name Ursula. So naturally, I tried to look for her. I scoured the internet, every lead I could find, to maybe find a way to get to her mysterious stall. Every lead seemed to lead me nowhere. I'd come to dead end after dead end. For years I've tried to look for even a hint of where she was. Something to prove to me that she really did exist. I've seen articles of people in forums claiming she really was real. But after tracing those people back, I end up with nothing. I must have asked hundreds or even thousands of people over the years and read over 1 million different stories. But not a single one ever mentioned how to get to her or if she was still around. I went to bed that night, dejected that I've came across my 10th dead end that night with nothing but a bruised ego and shattered hopes. The next day, I woke up and grabbed my crutches and made my way to school. Every day was just like the last. I'd take twice as long to get to school, so I had to wake up twice as early. There was the neighborhood dog that always chased me down and gnaws on my crutches. One time, he even caught me off balance and ran away with one of them. I had to make it all the way to school with just one. I hated it. I cursed my life for giving me these stupid legs that barely work. I hated the extra effort I had to do just to get to school. I hated the way everyone looked at me when I walked past and struggled to get my books into my locker. I hate the look of pity in their eyes and the powerlessness I have to stop them. Though on this day, something was different. As I rounded the corner onto the street of my school, a tall man bumped into me and knocked me over. He wore a brown suit that wrapped tightly around his body but hung loose around his shoulders. He had a top hat that he constantly held down with one of his hands, as if trying to hide from the sun or purposely trying to hide his face. He knelt down and apologized for knocking me over and helped me up. As I dusted myself off, he handed me a small note and briskly walked away in the other direction. I tried calling out to him, but when I looked up, he was already gone. I looked over the note in my hand, and with my curiosity I opened it and started reading. I was shocked that there wasn't much to read. It wasn't really a note, but a picture. It was a picture of the pub across town where the market is usually held. It had neon signs out front in bright oranges and pinks and a sturdy-looking metal door with a slit as a peephole. I couldn't understand what this meant until I scanned the bottom left corner of the page. My eyes widened. My heart started to race. I felt my skin flush and my hands started to shake and sweat. I shook my head in disbelief as I read, Ursula's, 10 p.m. I stood in front of the pub. I looked at the picture I had, and then back at the door right in front of me. The smell of alcohol and sweat filled the air. I felt out of place. I didn't belong here, and I thought people would start to look at me at wonder, but none of them did. Everyone just walked past me into the bar and didn't even give me a second glance. I took a deep breath, gripped my crutches, and made my way up to the door. As I knocked, the slit slid open and a pair of eyes looked back at me. "What's your business here?" a grisly voice said. I panicked and shakily brought up the picture to show him and said, "I'm here for Ursula." He looked down at the picture and shut the peephole. I felt like he just closed another lid right in my face, and this time I was ready to throw in the towel. When I heard the lock slide open and the door began to creak, I saw the burly man stand at the door, his entire body covering almost the entire frame of the door. He gestured for me to come inside, and so I did. He then slammed the door behind me and led me deeper into the room. We went deeper and deeper into the dark. At one point, I didn't think we were in the same place anymore. The stench of alcohol started to fade, and I started to smell something more like herbs and sage. As we walked further, people started to walk towards us, back to where we came from. However, these were all new faces, and none of them looked like the kind of people who frequented bars. Then suddenly, I slammed into my guide and fell backwards onto the ground. He turned to me and said, "We're here," and promptly walked away. I watched him leave as I propped myself back up, and then she said, "You've been looking for me?" When I turned my head, I saw her. She was wearing a billowing cloak of blacks and purples that stretched out across the floor, like a shadow swallowing the light. She sat there smoking a long cigarette that gave her a classy feel, if it wasn't for all the trinkets and bottles placed around her. I froze in place as I saw her gesture for me to come forward. I suddenly felt something move against my legs, guiding me across the floor. I looked down and found two massive pythons writhing against my feet and crutches to push me towards the stall. Everything felt so surreal that I didn't completely comprehend it. Something about the place made me feel uneasy, but I've waited too long for this moment to let it slip away. I got to her table and her snakes pulled me to sit. She looked me over, then, seemingly out of thin air, she had a piece of paper. She scribbled some notes and slashed a few things, and without looking at me said, "So, legs?" I didn't know what she meant, so I just sat there confused. She sighed and said, "You are here for legs, right?" Clearly, a touch of irritation in her voice. I stiffened and said, "Yes, I mean, can you fix them?" She stopped her writing and looked over at me like I was a child that asked a silly question. "But of course, darling. That's what I do." With a final stroke of the pen, she hands me the piece of paper. It was a contract, a stipulation of what was going to be done. In big, bold font I saw, "Leg surgery." I couldn't believe my eyes. It was actually going to happen. I looked at her with hope in my eyes and thought, I didn't have any money. I wasn't sure if the rumors about her not taking money was true. Being here, things might be different. I asked her how much everything would cost, and she just held up her hand. "Money is of no use to me. I take a different sort of payment. Just a promise that your organs will come to me once you die. It's just like those emergency cards they make you sign that allows hospitals to harvest your organs. I just want you to promise them to me instead. See? Easy peasy." I thought about it. She was right. If I die, it wasn't like I would have much use for my organs anyway. I'd rather have them be of use to me now than to someone else for no return, right? And plus, I'm young and with a healthy pair of legs, I don't see myself dying anytime soon. I could feel her watching me make the decision, and when I finally decided, she handed me the pen to sign. I took it and signed my name at the bottom. I then felt a weird burning in my hand. I turned it over to see a spiral seared into my palm. She waved at me and said, "Don't worry, that's just a mark to show the paramedics that will recover your body that it's not theirs anymore. Think of it as my calling card." She stood up and told me to follow her into her tent. Inside lay a mixture of state-of-the-art medical equipment with vials and bottles of bubbling liquids that glowed in the dim light. There was a steel table right in the middle of the room with a spotlight shining right on top of it. She waved at me to go to the table and her snakes moved me as well. She then started to prepare all the materials and walked a tray over to me. She put on her gloves and then told me she had to put me under for the operation and that I should just count down from 10. She placed a mask over my mouth and I started to count down. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, I was out. When I came to, I felt my legs wrapped together in a huge cast. I couldn't move them, but for the first time I could feel them. The sensation was amazing. I've never felt anything like it before. These long limbs beneath my waist weren't just a nuisance anymore, and soon I'll actually be able to use them. The thought excited me and made me smile to myself. Ursula came back into the room and said, "The operation went great. Everything seemed to be in fine working order. Just give yourself a few more days here to rest, and I'll be ready to take the bandages off and watch you walk out of here on your own." I couldn't express my happiness in words, so I just went in for a hug and repeatedly said thank you, and thank you. A few days passed, and I was on my way to school. Walking with my own 2 feet, I strode along the sidewalks without a care in the world. I took my sweet time savoring every moment of this day. The first day I'm finally complete. I freaked and just ran away as fast as I could. Stupid dog, I told myself. At least I had a test drive of how fast I could run. Wow, that was fast. I felt the wind blowing on my face as I rushed past the neighborhood. I got to school and stood there at the gate. I soaked in all the attention I got from all the people who used to give me such looks of pity. They all looked shocked and amazed at my brand new legs. I stood there just taking it all in, when I heard the horn of a bus right next to me. I turned around and saw the school bus rushing towards me through the gate. I frantically jumped to the side and rolled in the grass as it drove past me. It didn't stop and just went straight to the parking lot. Stupid driver, not watching where he's going, I muttered. I dusted myself off, then headed to class. The rest of the day at school, I paraded through the hallways every chance I got. I loved every moment of it, up to the very end when the bell rang. It's okay, I thought to myself. This is just the first day to forever. I'll have years to enjoy my life. Thank you, Ursula. I felt amazing as I walked all the way home. My life was finally starting. Then I heard it again. The bus horn. But that couldn't be right. School's over, and it's already nighttime. They shouldn't be out anymore. As I turned around this time, I was too late. The last thing I saw were the huge headlights shining brightly into my face, then darkness. Ambulance surrounded my body. Sirens rang throughout the night. Paramedics rushed back and forth, securing bodies into ambulances. My body was already on a bed, but no one paid me any mind. I couldn't move. I couldn't speak. I could only watch everything as they unfolded. Slowly, I saw a figure walk up to the side of my bed. It was a hooded figure with smoke coming out of the hood. I couldn't move my head. I couldn't see who it was. I felt their hand glide across my arm and then said, I'm here to collect payment. Then I saw the snakes wrap around my body and drag me away. Hello everybody, thank you for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys haven't already noticed, this is our take on Disney's villain Ursula that is set in the real world. Obviously there's still some elements to it that is fictional and like a fantasy, you know, like the pythons and whatever. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. And we're probably going to be making more of these with other different characters, Disney or not. And we'll see how it goes. I hope you guys look forward to it. And if you guys would like to support our channel, please click the like and subscribe button down below. And hopefully we'll see you in the next video. Bye!